Hello everyone, I'm Santiago and today I'm gonna be testing Extinction on the GeForce GTX 750 Ti. For performance monitoring I'll be using CAM. If you want to download the software, there's a link down in the description. So Extinction, I'll be doing 1080p, 900p and 720p. To skip down those sections of the video, check the description below. So first of all, I'll show you 1080p with the maximum settings, trying to stay over 30 frames per second. And that's actually possible without much of a problem. Just keep in mind that for 1080p, I overclocked the GTX 750 Ti, but on 900p and 720p, the overclock is disabled. Then I just lower the settings to the minimum on 1080p to see what frame rate we get. And then on 900p and 720p I do the same thing. First I show you the highest settings and then I just lower the settings, trying to maintain over 60 frames per second as long as possible. On 900p that was medium settings, and on 720p by just lowering a couple things to high, it was enough to maintain very close to 60 frames per second. But now I'm going to talk to you about the options menu and my experience testing this game. It has very limited options so far, but at least it has something. So to get the best performance, first lower shadows, then lower foliage, and finally anti-aliasing. Those are the three options that gave me the biggest difference in performance, especially shadows and foliage. I recommend lowering those in groups. On the anti-aliasing option we have FXAA, TAA and off. Of course if you turn it off, it gives you the bigger FPS boost. You can also cap the frame rate or uncap it. I kept it uncapped for this video. You can also turn off shadows if you want. The game looks significantly flatter without them, as usual. And on the foliage option, if you put it on low, it gets rid of all the grass on screen, pretty much. Instead of being grass that you can actually see, it just becomes a flat texture on the ground. So keep that in mind. If you want to have any sort of actual grass, keep foliage on medium. And overall, I don't really like motion blur, but on this game it seems to be well done. It didn't bother me like on other games. But yeah, not much else to say about the options menu, unfortunately. But with the game itself, I didn't have much of a problem with the performance. On a 1050 Ti, I can max it out on 1080p and have between 40 and 60 frames per second, pretty much. Usually the drops happen when there's a lot of foliage on screen, glass plus trees plus enemies. So when I'm attacking an enemy, for example, and there's blood splatter all over the place, it's usually when the frame rate suffers the most. Same happens with the biggest enemies in the game. When you're just trying to cut a limb or something like that, and there's a lot of foliage close by, being displayed by the camera, that's usually when the biggest performance hit happens, or when one of those big enemies just destroys a lot of buildings. Those effects are usually the reason for the performance hit, that including the foliage at the same time. Not really a big problem if you ask me, but you can manage it quite well by lowering shadows and foliage a little bit. I wish there was an option to just lower the effects quality. That will help a lot with those drops, but unfortunately there isn't in the options menu, at least not right now. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.